here today for your prom design? Yeah, beautiful. So, have you brought any inspiration with you? Do you have any photographs, any pictures of anything? Okay. No, that's okay. So we have some magazines in the back room. We can kind of go through those if that would help a little bit. Yeah, absolutely. And second question, do you know your measurements? Absolutely fine. If not, we can go ahead and take them today. No, beautiful. So I will go ahead and take those first of all. And then what I suggest is we go into the back room and just go through some magazines, some color swatches, just to try and figure out what you're looking for. Yeah, wonderful. Right, so with your measurements, sweetie, if you're able to just stand up for me, beautiful. So I'm going to start with the ones around your chest, and then I'm going to go to your waist. I'll also be doing leg length and also shoulder width as well. All right, beautiful. So you didn't mention in your consultation form, you didn't mention when your prom was. Okay. Beautiful. So there is a little bit of time then. Okay, good. Okay, and if you just stand still for me, thank you. Okay. And what I'd like you to do now, if you can just open your arms a little bit. Beautiful. And whereabouts is your prom? Okay. Yeah, we definitely have quite a few ladies that have their proms there. It's a beautiful place. There's a little lake outside as well, which is just beautiful for photographs. Okay. Just gonna go behind you, sweetie. Okay, yeah, and just lift your arm up. Wonderful. Okay, and just exactly the same with the other side. Thank you. So do you have any idea, is there anything that's kind of springing to mind in regard to inspiration, or are you just completely blank canvas? Yeah, okay. No, that's absolutely fine. It's often a little bit more interesting actually when you don't have ideas already, because it just allows you to really see what's available. Okay, I'm just going to do your leg length now, okay? So you just stand forward for me. Thank you. Beautiful. No, you're okay like that. Don't worry. Beautiful. Perfect. Just going to do there as well. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Now I'm going to do your shoulders, so if you can just stand up nice and tall, nice and straight for me, wonderful, and just kind of open your shoulders up a little bit. Beautiful. Yeah, just kind of stretch your shoulders a little bit just to make sure we have the full width. Beautiful. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Yeah, and you can kind of just relax them a little bit, okay? I will just take their measurement when they're a little bit more relaxed, just to make sure we have that give, okay? and jot those down. And then we had that one, we had 17:45 on that one. Beautiful. Okay, sweetie, so what I suggest we do, we just nip to the back room. I have loads of magazines. We'll have a really good look through them. Then we'll come back and we'll start to put that in action, okay? Yeah, wonderful. So if you want to just go ahead and follow me, okay? Okay, so when you reference wanting something a little bit different, a little bit unique, do you think you mean in regard to color, in regard to style, in regard to fabric, or possibly just across the whole gamut? Okay, yeah, absolutely. So a little bit of everything. You want it to just look different generally. Okay, perfect. And do you have any ideas with where you want to start with the style or the color or the design? No, that's absolutely okay. So I do have a lot of magazines, a lot of color swatches. We can really work through this, okay? So no, don't worry at all. Okay. So I think we should go ahead and start with this one. So what I want you to do, sweetie, is look at the style, the color, the fabric, the design, just the way it hangs on the body as well, okay? Because sometimes you may think that you like the way something kind of looks on the body, but you don't necessarily think it's related to the fabric. It's more just kind of the fit and the design, okay? And I'll really be able to break that down for you, and we'll be able to create your perfect dress, okay? Beautiful. Are you able to see there? Yeah, perfect, okay. What do you think to that fabric? It does. It's very traditionally Chanel, isn't it? Yeah. So that's maybe a little bit too smart. So you're wanting something maybe a little bit more maybe grungy or arty. Okay. Yeah. Okay. It does. I think it's quite business-like, isn't it? Absolutely. What about the fabric there? Okay. We could absolutely. So we could actually use this fabric just around the waist. Is that maybe you're thinking that would look better? Do you like having any sort of detailing around the neck? Yeah. Okay, let me write that down just so we remember, sweetie. So it's definitely something you're kind of, yeah, okay. And what about that particular fabric around the neck? Do you think it looks too heavy, or maybe, yeah? So it's more the sizing of it, okay. And something a little bit thinner, okay. And what would you think about, we could do sort of like a V-neck, and then we could drape that around so it wouldn't necessarily be on your neck, but you would still get that kind of design. Okay. No, absolutely, that's okay. It is difficult to be able to imagine it, of course, because it sounds so different to what we're looking at, but no, that's okay. Okay. And then anything with regard to the color? No. Okay, that's okay. Yeah. So the design there, Okay, what is it that you're liking about it? Uh-huh. Do you like that it's structured? I know you said it's just kind of the overall design. Is it more the structuring of the dress that you like, or is it specifically the pattern? Okay. It is. Again, maybe a little bit too business-like. Okay, no, I agree. Do you like the collar on that? Because again, you do have that kind of piece there. No, you preferred the other one. Okay. It is, again, it's a very sort of smart look, isn't it, to have that crisp collar. Okay. And then do you like the specific type of design? Yeah. Okay. No, that's okay. So it's a little too smart, isn't it? So I think we're gravitating more towards, like I said, that kind of grungy, arty, yeah. Okay. And what do you think about little stockings? Yeah, we could absolutely. So it's more the material, yeah. Okay. So it's sort of like a lace-like material. Okay. And what do you think to the color? No. Okay. See, that dress actually has quite an interesting design on the side, so we could actually add something onto the side if you were wanting, just to kind of give it a little bit of a pop. Okay, so maybe some sort of ruching, but not the kind of gaping. Okay. And what do you think to that kind of bright color, that kind of bright summery color? No. Okay. Okay, so you like the color of this. Okay. Do you think you would want the whole dress that color, or just little pops of that? Okay. So maybe sort of dispersed in there. Okay. It's sort of like a teal, isn't it? Okay. What about those? Yeah, it is. I think it's a similar fabric, isn't it? It's that kind of structured fabric. What about this, where we have that kind of almost Aztec print? No. Okay. No, that's absolutely fine. I do think we're kind of building a bit of an image as to what we're looking for here, so that's really good. Again, yeah, we have that kind of lacing detail in between. Yeah, you're liking that. Okay, perfect. So this is actually interesting because you just mentioned that kind of ruching material, and here you can see there's that ruching. Okay, it is. So this, I would say, is quite a heavy look. Yeah, but what we could do with the ruching is we could take away all of that material, and we could just focus on the side being ruched, and of course we could bring it up much shorter as well. So don't worry so much about the length of this or how kind of heavy it does. It does look quite heavy, especially it's got that kind of shoulder pad design as well. But do you kind of you like that? So just hone in on the ruching. Is that something you're liking? Yeah, okay. And again, I'm going to assume we're not keen on this color. Yeah, absolutely. I think we're looking for something a bit darker, aren't we? Okay. Again, we have a little bit of the ruching there. There's almost a little bit of a ribbon material there. I don't know what you think to that. Yeah, we could absolutely try it. So let's try some of that with the ruching as well. Yeah, I think we could probably use a little bit of that woven in with the lace actually as well. Okay. And what do you think to that? Okay. We could bring this much further up so there wouldn't be as much fabric. Yeah. So you're liking kind of the overall look for this, okay? It is, so it's quite dramatic, it's quite, I would almost say a little bit goth-like. There's definitely a sort of goth element there, okay? And the shade of black, yeah. And the color, yeah, okay. Would you want to maybe add a little bit more color in there? Because of course this is predominantly black. We could add lots of little bits of blue, of navy, of brown, of even red. Yeah, okay. To just try and create a little bit more of a dramatic look. I do think by adding lots of colors we would kind of just make it pop a little bit more. Okay. I think this is a little bit too sort of traditionally feminine for what you're going for, isn't it? Yeah. What do you think to the V-neck though? Because of course we could add the detailing you saw before on the neck. We could kind of layer that there. Okay. Possibly. Okay. Yeah, I think we should give it a try and just see what you feel when it's kind of on you, okay? Again, we have that kind of V-neck, yeah, and then of course we have a little bit of a side detailing again on there, yeah, okay. We could, so something like this would just be the base. We could, of course, we could add so much to it, yeah. Do you like the kind of the way the fabric flares out? Yeah, okay, I think that's something we should try as well then. And I say that because you did identify that on the other piece as well. You liked that kind of dramatic flaring out. Yeah, okay. Beautiful. Okay, so I think we should probably pause for now because I do have a lot of different ideas written down. I've kind of spiraled off a little bit as well just to kind of introduce maybe some styles that I think you will like, but that we didn't necessarily see in here. Okay, so what I think we want to hone in now on is the colors. Now I know you mentioned you're looking for something quite dark. You like the kind of the navies, the dark teals. Yeah, okay. So let's start from there. Let me have a look what I have. So we do have quite a lot of that color. We've got that. We have that one. I'll pop them there for you so you can kind of see them. There. And we have that sweetie, because I think that, let me see. Yeah, I think that would probably work really well with your coloring. So that would pair well with that. We could also try a little bit of that mixed in. And that I think would look good. Yeah, mixed with that one. And that. What do you think to maybe adding a few pops of something like that in? Yeah, okay, I can give it a try. And I'm thinking more, could possibly try these two as well. And then for the kind of lace detailing, let's try, I think we should be a little bit experimental with the lace. So let's go ahead and try that and maybe that as well. Okay, beautiful. Are there any colors here on the board that you're thinking, gosh, I wish you would have chosen that one? Okay, so maybe just adding a little pop of something a little bit more pastel. Okay, are we thinking no, too much? Okay, what about adding a tiny amount of blue? But you do have to imagine this in the context of lots of dark as well, so you wouldn't really see very much of it. It would just kind of, let me show you, it would just kind of poke through. So you just sort of have like a little, yeah, let's try that as well. Okay, perfect. Okay, sweetie, so I will go and grab the fabrics that I'm wanting to try, and I'll meet you back on the shop floor. Okay. Okay, so what I want to do first of all is I want to actually show you what that dark fabric will look like on your skin tone, okay? This is really important because some people like the idea of something on paper, but when it translates on their skin tone or their hair color, they're not as keen, okay? So we really need to go ahead and make sure that that is what you're wanting, okay? So I will start with this one. I know you said that kind of Aztec print isn't necessarily something you're looking for, okay? So when you look at this, what do you think? Do you kind of think very similar to your opinion when you saw it on paper? What do you kind of think to that? Okay, yeah, it is. So you do have a little bit of a mixture of colors. Let me just show you on your skin tone, sweetie. Just drape it across there. I'll just sort of tie that at your back a little bit. So what do you think to that? Okay. Yeah, so that is something that I thought, because you do have quite a rich hair tone. Sometimes the dark can really complement that, and because that has a little bit of a mixture of tones, so it's not just kind of one block dark color, because you're getting that mixture, I feel like it really brings out your hair tone. Okay, I'm just going to put it a little bit closer to your neck so you can kind of see against your hair. Can you see how beautiful that looks against that rich tone in your hair? Yeah, okay. And then let's compare it to something like this, okay? So we'll keep that on, absolutely, but I'm just gonna pop this over the top And what I want you to do is sort of tell me what you think to that, because of course it's a darker color, it's black, but because you have that little sprinkling of white in, it doesn't seem so dark. Whereas I think if you saw that on paper, yeah, I don't think it's something you would choose, but actually in person you can kind of see that it kind of has that little sprinkling, doesn't it? Okay, let me just remove those both, and let's go ahead and try this. So again, this isn't necessarily a color that you were gravitating towards, but you did like that kind of deep richness. Okay, so let me just show you this on your skin. Okay, and I want you to just focus in on the way your skin tone looks with this, okay? So don't concentrate too much on whether you like the color, but just look at how it's making your eyes pop, your hair. Yeah, I thought this would be one that you would actually like. Okay, and then what about something like this? Okay. Now again, today is just to try different designs. Don't feel obligated at all. But what do you kind of think to this design? Yeah. The reason I picked this out is because I was thinking if you did like the color you have when it's on your skin tone, something like this would allow you to have that pop of color and a little bit of a design. But you wouldn't necessarily have to have the full block color, which I know is something you mentioned you're not really wanting. So let's go ahead and try this. How do you feel about that design? How is it making you feel? Yeah? Okay. You're preferring the lighter color over the dark, okay? That is exactly why it's really good to be able to try colors on in person, because of course what you mentioned in there, when it translates, it's just something completely different. But that's absolutely fine, totally normal. So let's take a break from the colors, and what I want to focus on now is accessories and how you can kind of transform a simple outfit into something really luxurious, something really different just by adding accessories, okay? So, what I was thinking for you, because you mentioned that you're wanting something that looks a little bit different, a little bit grungy, a little bit out there, what we could do is we could actually work some gemstones in, we could work some beads. You could keep this kind of print, but then around that kind of V-neck that we talked about, we could drape something like that and just kind of attach it so it sort of sits like that on your V-neck. I think that would look really beautiful. So let me go ahead and show you. Now these can come in so many different colors as well, so if you're not really keen on this kind of color, I know this is a little bit, it's more of a feminine palette, isn't it, this? Whereas I know you said that you're wanting maybe different colors, but maybe some darker colors, but let's have a look. Okay, what do you think to that? Absolutely, so we could drape it, we could actually extend it so it could go sort of around there. We could also do it on a chain, so it would start there and then we could have one piece just kind of dangling a little bit. Yeah, now let me show you with this. Very similar, but I think this would work really beautifully. here. Now what we could also do with this is if you wanted a little bit of ruching at the side, like you mentioned, we could actually tie this in to the ruching. So what you would have is that kind of ruched material, but then we could weave some of that in, and that I think again would just make it pop, make it look a little bit different. Yeah, wonderful. Also have, if you're liking that design, we also have some gemstones. So we could do a very similar design, but we can actually add some gemstones. So for example, we could do something like that. I'll just get my glue gun just so I can give you a quick example. There. So can you see you're getting that you're getting a very similar effect as you would with the chain, but what's also happening now is that you're having more of a 3D effect. It's kind of really popping, it's really elevating the outfit. Yeah, all right. Do also have some darker stones as well. So if you wanted to keep with more of a darker color, yeah, you're preferring these. Okay, let me show you that. There. Put one there. Like that. Let me just show you this, sweetie, because, and don't be too put off by the kind of, it looks very bling, doesn't it? But what I was thinking with this is, so with the ruching, were you thinking both sides or just the one side like we mentioned? Just the one side. Okay. So what you could actually do, have this sort of tangled in the ruching like that. And then, yeah, just move your arms a little bit. So can you see how that kind of works in really well? Let me just clip it to the side. I'll just clip it a little bit better. Let's have a look. There we go. So can you see now? Yeah, wonderful. Okay, let me show you now. Very similar to that one, but what we could do with this is go around your waist. So put that there like that. Just tie that at the back. Yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Yeah, wonderful. Okay, what I suggest we do, take a little bit of a pause, have a drink, and then we come back and kind of reevaluate, okay? Because I do think we're moving away from maybe what we necessarily wanted in there, maybe wanting something a little bit different. Now we can see it on. Yeah, okay, sweetie. Would you like a beverage? Yeah, we have green teas, we have black teas, we have coffees. A green tea. Okay, wonderful. And anything to snack on? No? You're okay. Beautiful.